Blog Talk Radio.
Archangels, ghosts, and Bigfoot, oh my. It's just another night for Supernatural Girls. Real stories, real answers to life's biggest supernatural mysteries. And now for another exciting interview with paranormal experts from this world and others. Here's your host, paranormal researcher Patricia Baker, on the one, the only Supernatural Girls.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting episode of Supernatural Girls Radio. I'm your host, Patricia Baker, and I am here with my co-host, Michelle Clare, and it's May 4th. May the 4th be with you. So, Michelle, how you doing tonight? How is it in sunny Arizona?
It's beautiful. I think we had a high about 90 today, so it's a good time to be in Arizona. The weather's good. The sun's staying out longer. I'm enjoying it.
Oh, that's great. Well, I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but guess what? It's chilly here and rainy, and we're still waiting for some semblance of spring, but I don't think we're going to get a spring. I think we're going to go right into summer because next week it starts into the 80s, which I love. But it's so strange. I mean, there really hasn't been a transition. Gone from cold, now it'll go to hot. Yep.
Right.
I guess what's happening. What's happening.
Yeah.
So tell us what's happening with you.
There is change.
Yes. Well, you know, we're supposed to have seasons here. and we kind of are, I don't know what's happening. They're just merging together. We've got some kind of Mandela effect going on with our seasons or what. I don't know. Something's going on. But there's always something exciting going on with you. So tell us what you're up to.
Yeah, well, tomorrow I'm actually hosting an online webinar for channeling basics. So for people who are looking to get their feet wet and start dipping into that, that'll be something you can connect with me on. I have sound and energy healings and readings coming up in Northeast Scottsdale on May 14th. And then at the end of this month, if you're in the Phoenix area, on May 29th, I'll be working at the Phoenix Psychic Fair, so people can come by and get an in-person reading.
Oh, my goodness. You are a busy bee. That is great. And, of course, people can always contact you for private readings. I know you're always available for that. I shouldn't say that because I know you're very booked up, but people will be able to contact you online and arrange a reading from where they are, anywhere in the world. So that's great.
Absolutely.
And they can reach you at Michelle Clare, that's C-L-A-R-E, are you com or not, .com or .net?
.net.
.net. Okay. I thought it might be a net. Okay. And you know,
it's like the internet, right?
Yes.
The soul
That's
net.
an easy way to remember it.
Yeah.
That's good. And you know, I do have to go back to this Mandela effect comment. I'm always watching people talking about the Mandela effect. I would love to get an expert on talking about it sometime. But it's so strange to me. I mean, I grew up with the television as my babysitter. So I remember all these great shows, Star Trek, I Love Lucy, all those kinds of shows. And I loved E.T., the movie. Mm-hmm. Now, when somebody tells me in E.T., the movie by Spielberg, that E.T. points his finger and, you know, what I remember is him saying, E.T. phone home, right? Do you remember that?
Right, yes, I do remember.
Well, guess what? This will blow your mind. That's not what's in the movie now.
No.
Yes.
What does it say now?
It says something stupid. It says E.T. home phone. That's what it says. And it's not, they didn't re-edit it. I mean, we collectively remember it as E.T. phone home. And now it's changed. And the other thing that always gets me is Star Trek. I remember Captain Kirk pleading with Scotty, beam me up, Scotty, come on, Scotty, beam me up, Scotty. Remember that?
Yes.
Well, guess what? There is no beam me up, Scotty in Star Trek anymore.
No.
I swear.
Stop it. How does that
I'm
happen?
not kidding.
How do we just wipe that out?
Well, this is what we need to have a talk about, because it is this weird. And there are so many others like that. I know it all started, I think, with the Berenstain Bears and the Berenstain Bears. That book got changed around. There's a lot of things like this that have changed. So, yeah, I've heard people say that has to do with CERN and the collider that they're using. So I don't know if that's merging realities or shifting them, but whatever it's doing, it's certainly changing things from what I remember and what a lot of other people like you collectively remember. So it's a very interesting topic. So if anybody out there is an expert on this, contact us. We'd love to have you on the show so we could talk about it. I'd like to solve these mysteries. Yes, it's just too crazy. I know, it bothers me greatly that Beam Me Up Scotty is no longer. It's like, wait a second, that's just wrong.
Well, it's certainly interesting, right?
Yes, it is. It is indeed. And this is different from people shifting out of time or shifting, by themselves to another reality. That's not what this is. This is a collective memory that's totally changed. So that's really weird. So, but speaking of weird, I just want to share with everybody that research is now showing that most Americans believe in the paranormal. How about it?
I love it.
Yes. So now they're saying New Thinking Aloud says paranormal experiences are normal and relevant. And this came out in a press release. Recent polling conducted in October 2021 by Cinch Home Services indicates that 83%, that's a lot, 83% of American adults report having experienced paranormal activity in their homes. The top three forms are hearing sounds, lights turning on and off, and hearing voices. This finding is consistent with polling going back for decades, yet typically many experiencers are still reluctant to speak openly about their experiences for fear of being ridiculed, called mentally ill, or even accused of demonic possession, which is never any fun. So, the new accumulated scientific evidence, however, suggests that many such experiences should be taken at face value. So, large segments of the population, when polled, report personal experiences of a parapsychological nature. And these academic, scientific, and religious institutions have failed to educate the public about 140 years of research into paranormal phenomena. So there you have it. Isn't that great? People are finally speaking out more and admitting they've had these experiences, and people are more willing to talk about it. So 83%, that's pretty high.
That is really high, and honestly, I bet the number of people who have had it is even higher than that. Because, listen, we are spiritual beings, so whether you want to call it spiritual or paranormal or whatever we want to call this, we're here having a spiritual experience, and I think that it's a higher number than that. I think that there are probably actually the other, 17% of people just didn't notice it. They just thought the lights flickered because there was an electrical situation or something like that.
Right.
So I think everyone has them. I think just some people wrote it off as something else and didn't see it for what it was.
I think you're right. Yeah, that's probably true. That's what happens. Some people don't have a reference point for this, but a lot of people do. And certainly media, has been catching up to that and providing some outlets for entertainment with the paranormal. So that continues to grow. But certainly seeing these types of polls is very encouraging because it broadens our perspective. It gives us so much more insight about life. So anyway,
yes.
And we have such a great guest tonight, do we not? I mean, Rommie Buhler,
I'm so excited.
Is called in. Yes, all the way from Australia. She is an animal communicator, and more. She is also an holistic health coach. Now, this is important because all of us who love animals, who have pets, we know what we go through with our pets when they're not feeling well. It is really tough to try to figure out. And certainly, I don't think the vets are necessarily on top of this with diagnosis. And they're doing all these tests, and a lot of them are invasive. And I think Rommie's going to help us out with this. This is a very big issue. So. And we need to know what to do. What's the best way to work with our pets when they need help and we don't know what's going on? I mean, we may know some obvious symptoms if they're not eating or if they're lethargic or they're limping or something. But overall, how do we find out how to help them? So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Rommie. She's extraordinary. Now, Rommie is passionate about animal welfare, and she is driven to change the perceptions around how we can communicate with animals so they can be more consciously looked after. Now, most people that have animals in their care, while very connected to them, are only seeing part of their health and well-being picture, mostly through what they observe, what they think, and the things they may already know. But when you communicate from a higher perspective and you have a conversation with them, you are able to see the whole picture. My God, do we need that? That means you are able to support them in a way they need, not in a way we think they need, as you see the truth behind behaviors, psychological, and physical problems. Now, Rommie works globally, but she lives on the east coast of Australia, and she does animal communication. She does missing animal investigation. She's a medical intuitive and an animal energy healer, so she does it all. And she also runs online and in-person courses in animal communication, missing animals, and intuitive development. She's also the TV show host of the web TV show The Animals television show, a show designed to be educational, inspiring, and entertaining to help the welfare of all animals, domestic and wild. Now, Rommie has trained with some of the top psychic mediums, controlled remote viewers, and intuitive detectives around: Tony Stockwell, Pam Coronado, James von Praagh, and Amanda DeWarren. And we are blessed to have Rommie with us tonight. So, Rommie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Patricia and Michelle, for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here today, or tonight for you.
That's right. It's daytime
great.
for you.
Yeah, it is. The
thank you so much.
Yeah,
this
my
is
pleasure.
Great. You know,
it's exciting.
We, on this show, and our audience, I can tell you, are all big-time animal lovers, all of us. And so it is so great to have you with us. Now, how did you get into this? How did you get started?
That's a good question. I've always been intuitive. I just didn't really know what it looked like for me, I guess. And about 12 years ago, because I was very intuitive with people, but the animal side, I was brought up in the country, so I was surrounded by farm animals and the pets. But as a kid, I was probably communicating with them, and I just don't remember that. But my husband got a terminal cancer diagnosis about 11 years ago now, 12 years ago.
Oh my.
And he's very spiritual, and he's often referred to as the Dalai Lama. And we had a dog. Our dog is still alive. We have a dog that had anxiety back then, and I said to him, I'd somehow heard about animal communication, probably Facebook. It dropped up on a feed somewhere, and I said to him, "Oh, you should learn this and figure out what's wrong with Kenny, and then fix him." And he said, "Righto, that sounds like a good idea." So I bought all the books, and back when DVDs were a thing, and Google documents and things like that, and I send them over. And he didn't do anything with it. And so, but I was intrigued. I needed to get my teeth into this. And he said, "Why don't you figure it out and then just tell me what I need to do?" Not realizing that all of this was for me and not for him at all. So I just as it usually works out, doesn't it? And so I just sort of read a lot and I watched a lot and I got more and more interested in, and I happened across a lady in Australia who did animal communication mentoring programs. And I thought, well, I don't even know what that means, but I'm signing up. I was on a 6-month waiting list, and then I had a session with her, and it all became in that moment very clear as to who I am, where I am, what I'm doing, and that sort of thing. So, she said to me, just start tomorrow, get a Facebook page and run with it. And I did, and I've not looked back. So
wow.
it's a great thing. I absolutely love it.
That's amazing. And we saw on your Facebook page that you have wild animals and domestic. And now, do you work with wild animals also?
I don't work with them. I have a great concern for the wild animals and what's happening with them. So I communicate with them for my own benefit, and I might write a blog on it or an article and just try and get the word out about how do wild animals fare in this environment that we are creating for them, and what are they feeling, what are they thinking, what do they need from us, and that type of thing. So it's kind of my own crusade, and then I share the information because there's people that need to read it. And with the television show in the season 1 there, I had a wildlife expert come in and join me, and I thought, well, I might actually in this episode just call in. He was an Australian wildlife fellow. I'll just call in an Australian animal and see what they've got to say, which will combine nicely with this show. And so the kangaroos, one of my favourite animals, came in to share their words with us on how they're going. So I just love it. I really like to talk to wild animals. How do you deal with stress? Do you get stressed? What do you do with that? And that sort of thing as well, because it's quite different to us.
Yes, yes. Oh my goodness. Well, that's so exciting. Now, again, you do so many things. You find missing pets too, which I can imagine is an amazing thing that you help owners with when you can successfully find them. How do you search for them? Do you try to just pick up on their frequency and track them down?
Yeah, and I'd like to say it's a very successful thing that I do with that, but I always say to the clients that it's a tool to have in your searching toolbox. It's not, you might want to use this as the only thing, but you still need to do the legwork, and you still need to do everything else that you can do to find your pet. Some animals don't want to get found. So the first question I ask, I connect with them as I would just with a regular animal communication, where I just merge my energy with theirs and connect into, sort of their mind to mind, I guess, for want of a better way of explaining it. I ask them where, how they are. I also check out, and as best I can, if they're alive still, because that's not always easy. If an animal is in shock, they will show that they've passed. If an animal is, for me, this is not always for everybody, but for me, an animal in shock or in full-on fear, they will show that they've passed. An animal that may well have passed that hasn't transitioned yet will still be very earthbound. So they may show up as alive. So I need to spend quite a lot of time. It's a very important question. I need to spend quite a lot of time on that over a period, every time I check in, over a period of days, I'll just see where I'm at and try and clear away the potential shock and fear and all of that sort of stuff, just to get to the truth of the answer there. But that's my first thing is, are they alive, and why did they leave? Because there are many animals that don't like their current circumstances where they're living, or, if a new partner's come into the house and they don't like them, or, animals are often here to help us grow and learn our life lessons. And if they've ticked that box and that job is done, then it's time for them to move on, which is another lesson for us in some ways. So it's important to just check out why they've left, because if they don't want to come back, then they will be very difficult to find, as you can imagine. So that's kind of I just get a general impression. Like I just tune into them and ask them those questions, and then I get a general impression of where they are. And it might be whatever comes through is unique to the animal, but it might be, I'm so close to home, it's not funny. I'm going to be found. I'll often get, will you be found, feelings on that, or they'll just turn up in a couple of days' time, or they're feeling sick, and especially cats. When cats feel sick, they disappear, and they come back when they're sort of feeling better. And then I'll kind of get more in depth, and I'll really become the animal, and I'll see through their eyes and see what they can see. And I work in like a clock situation. It's something that Pam Coronado teaches very well. And so I sort of look through their eyes at 12 o'clock as opposed to north, south, east, west. I just do 12 o'clock. What can I see within 100 metres or half a mile or whatever? Any man-made landmarks that stand out? Are there any natural landmarks that would stand out? And then I turn to 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I'll smell and I'll taste and I'll hear. I have all of the senses available to me for this. And so I'll go through each sense individually, and then I'll get as much information as I can to get a general location. And then I'll try and just pull it in a little bit closer. If there's nothing to see at sort of 50 metres or, however many yards that is, 100 yards or something like that, and then I just keep going out a little bit further. And I'll also look at nighttime. So I'll ask, show me from above the scene at night, because, there might be an airport runway nearby and there's just lights all lit up at night, but daytime you might not see that so much. So there may be some really bright spotlight somewhere that shows up. That's just more information on location points. So I'll look from above, I'll look ground level, I'll look nighttime, and I'll look daytime, and just get as much information as I can and share that. And then we sort of just go back and forth from there, and with the intention that hopefully they find their loved furry one. Sometimes it's a win, and sometimes it's a not. Yeah.
So when people contact you for a regular reading, just talk to my pet, how long do you spend with that? Do you do like an hour-long reading? What's the time frame for you when you work with your clients?
It's most people, it really depends what they can afford, I guess. So most people like 30 minutes. 30 minutes goes really fast, and that's a time slot that's just because animal communication really is getting the why. Why are they behaving this way? Why do they look like that? Why are they doing this thing? Why aren't they blah, blah, blah? So, in 30 minutes with one animal, you can get a little bit of information there. 45 minutes is still a fairly general. You might fit 2 animals in there, and it really depends on what the issues are. I have a lot of horses in New Zealand and up in that sort of Minnesota area that I connect with, and these are mostly horses for competition. So we have a lot of training stuff. Why is the horse not jumping? How does the horse feel about the rider? What does the horse want from the rider to make them, win and not come second all the time, and that type of thing. So it really depends on what people want. Medical intuition, it's like peeling an onion. If there's health issues, that can really take a lot of digging around, and that can be an hour plus. So animals block as well. So if they don't want you to know why they're sick, if they don't want you to fix them, then they may not share their information with you.
Oh, those stinkers.
I know.
Well, that's
we're
not
too
helpful.
human. We're just like... I know.
Well, but what I love about that is what you're telling us is that the animal soul still has its own free will here on planet Earth, right?
100%. That they do, yes. And we need to remember that, because we are not, above them. We are equal. Same. Yeah.
That's right.
It's just it's so important that one thing that I find is really missing, and I'm guilty of this too because I'm busy like everybody, is that we have lost the art of being present with our animals. So, you know, we play with them, but we're kind of typing an email while we're playing, or we feed them and we just kind of chuck the food in the bowl and throw it on the floor and pat them on the head and off we go. When they're not right, we pay a little more attention, but we're still just not really present with our animals, and they need us. And a lot of the behavioural issues, you know, they're just trying to get our attention and just tell us something. And we need to stop, put everything away, and really connect with our animals, because we're all intuitive, as you would know. We can all intuit our animals. And, you know, one of the reasons that, I'm probably going off on a tangent here, but one of the reasons that I really love to be able to communicate with my animals is for not just the little things, but the high-end things. And I'll give you an example of a cat and a dog that I had that have both passed now. But one of my dogs started screaming. You know, you'd go to touch him around the hips and he would literally scream. Now, he was the size of a Labrador. Yeah, and it was awful. Now, the vet's idea of fixing that is to just give him tramadol to take the pain away. But it's like, well, what is the actual problem here? Because that's not going to, I don't like this screaming dog. And we lived near a national park, so we would take them out and take them off their lead, and they would just run free. He loved to chase things. And so he had spent a long part of his 12 or 13 years running up and down hills. And so I connected with him, and I said to him, his name was Albie, and I said, Albie, why are you screaming? Show me the pain. I wanted to feel what he was feeling, and it was excruciating. It was like a knife stabbing into my hip. I thought, okay, well, this is genuine, because animals can manipulate as well. They're little trickers. So it was genuine pain. And then I just asked, what is going on here? What do we need to do? What is the problem? And you have to be shown the information in a way that you understand. So it has to be shown to you based on your experience, based on what you know, what you've seen, what you've learnt. And I've had a lot of experience. I'm not a vet or a doctor, but I've had a lot of experience studying the human body and in different forms. So I know a certain amount of anatomy and physiology. Anyway, I just had this word drop into my mind, hip dysplasia. And because I couldn't really show that to me, I didn't know what it would look like as a vision. So I had to get the clairaudience. I had to get the words. And I could see on the top of his joints this kind of arthritic crumbling sort of effect. So then we go to the vet with that information. You know, most vets, unfortunately, they're not interested in knowing who I am, so which is kind of a shame, because I think we could work together really nicely. But
absolutely.
There's so much value in it. It's not funny, but they did scans, blood tests, and all those things. He had hip dysplasia and he had arthritis. So then we could treat him for those things and not just jam painkillers in every time he was in pain. So, you know, that's my dog. And so then we would go for a walk. He couldn't run up and down hills anymore. So I would drive them up to a flat part out in the bush, but it was a flat road. And we'd get to there. I had some little points along the way, and I'd say to him, and I'd send an image to him, as I said out loud as well. Albie, if you are in pain and you need to go home, turn around and walk back towards the car. If you're okay, keep walking straight ahead, remembering that you still have to go back the same distance we came out. And we would stand there for maybe 30 seconds, because his mind is going, I just want to run, run, run. But his body's saying, hang on, old fella, you can't do that anymore. So he would turn around. You know, 90% of the time, I kind of knew when turn around point was, but he would think about it, and then he would turn around and would walk back to the car. Or he would keep going, and then I would stop more often because we're starting to get a little far out. So, you know, that was valuable, and we can do this with our pets.
That's so wonderful and you can teach us to do that too. So we need to learn this, because We love our pets, but we also, and let me go back also when you talked about being present. I got exactly what you're saying. It's so important. Is there anybody in the world I'd like to be with more than my dog? No. Honest answer. No. He's at the top of my list. There's nobody that can come close to him. He's just so sweet and so loving and smart and beautiful. I could just stare at him all day. So to me, it's like when I catch myself not being totally present and not paying attention to him, I really correct myself because I don't like being distracted by all these other things that are meaningless. Not that everything else is meaningless, but you know what I'm saying. It's like he's the most important relationship. There's something very special about that bond. And so, to get lost in doing your day is a mistake. I agree with that completely. It's a total mistake because we are ignoring then our most precious bond with these animals, whether they're wild or domesticated. There is a really important bond there. So I love what you said, being present.
Yeah.
One of the easiest ways that I have found with my own dogs to communicate is basically telepathic, like sending them images. Like if I want to visualize them getting up and walking to the door, like to take them out, I'll kind of send that to them. And some of my dogs pick it up a little bit faster than others. But what are some of the easiest ways for us to start communicating with our own animals?
Exactly what you've said, actually, because, you would know, dogs particularly, they know when they're going for a walk and they know when they're going to get fed. And you could even, my husband likes to spell because our dogs have always known when they're going for a walk, and he'll say to me, I'm just going to take them for a WALK. But he's inadvertently sent them the image of the lead coming out, the shoes going on, and where they're going. We can't not create images in our mind. It's impossible to not create images. So I think that's one of the greatest ways is to use the images. And this is for behavior. This is for anything. Create the images in your mind of the behaviors that you want, and then use the words that create those images, because that's where we go wrong, is we are born to say no, don't, stop, shouldn't, can't, all of those negative words. And it's not about those words particularly for the animal. It's those words that create the image of something we don't want them to do, like barking is a great example, where we say, stop barking, no barking, don't bark, that kind of thing. But the image in our mind is still a barking dog. And animals are telepathic, so they're reading the mind going, they're hearing us saying stop barking, but they're seeing the image of a barking dog and they're going, oh, well, mum's kind of showing me that barking is okay. So that doesn't work. So we need to change the words to shush or be quiet or something else that, doesn't use the negative words, that creates an image of a dog with its mouth closed and sitting quietly, and getting them undistracted. When they're barking, they're in their own little world there. You need to get their attention, send them off to their bed or something like that, and shush, be quiet and be really assertive. So I like to tell my clients, because this is a problem all the time with animals jumping, animals chewing furniture, that's got anxiety in there as well. So that's another issue. But write all the things down that you don't like of your animal, or the behaviours that you're not liking from them. Write down in another column what you currently say to them, and have a think about what image that might create in your mind. And then write down the words that you can use that would create the image of the behaviour you want, and then practice that while you're sitting in the car, driving to the shops, or walking around the supermarket, until that becomes your new language. Because we can send the images telepathically, but we need to send the right ones. So if we speak out loud or speak in our mind, sometimes that can help just kind of cement the images that we're looking for, if that makes sense.
That's great.
Yes. I love that. Are some animals easier to communicate with than others? And by that, I mean, like, are cats easier to talk to than dogs, or are horses easier than cows? Or is it really just dependent on the individual soul?
There's two parts to that. I would say horses 100% are my easiest one, and it may not be the same for all animal communicators, because I've not had horses in my life. I've ridden horses, but I've not had them in my life. I've had cats and dogs forever. So I would think that they would be my easiest, but horses are so easy to hear, and they're clear, and they're powerful, and they say what they think. And dogs and cats, they're a little more harder to hear, and then they have their individual personalities. So they'll either want to talk to you, or they won't, or they'll share a little bit, or it's just hard to connect with them. And it's just like people, if you've got 3 children, they're all different. You need to find your way to communicate with each of them to get the best out of them. And some kids don't talk, and some talk a lot, and some want to share, and some don't. So animals, I find, are the same. They're a little bit tricky sometimes, but if they're really angry, if an animal's angry, they just want to get all of that off their chest, and then you get the true essence of the animal. Once they've got that done, then they'll kind of come through as their, more true self.
Wow. Well, we've lined up 4 dogs to talk to you tonight. So, who do you want to start with? You've got some photos there, I know, that we sent you.
Yeah. Phoenix, Twyla, Penny, and Daphne. How old's Daphne, Michelle?
Daphne is, oh my goodness, I think she's 13 now.
Yeah. You've got a house full of females.
We have a lot of estrogen over here, yes.
Look, I just have to say that, and this may or may not surprise you, Penny wants to go first. Let's just tune into Penny. And if you have any questions for any of them too, just jump on in with whatever you want to ask them. So let me just pull Penny up. Just give me a moment. I know we're on the phone on radio, so it's hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just kind of connecting with her now. She's just a live wire. She's just kind of bouncing all over the place, jumping up and down and doing circles. And she may not actually physically do that, but she certainly, that's her energy, is just live wire. Yeah. And she is a great example of how to love life, because she is just exuberant. It's like she just drinks life in. It's like, I want to suck more out of it. And I don't have enough hours in my day to be able to do that. What can we do now? She needs constant entertainment and attention and things to do. And, I see her prowling around the house and the boundaries like she's on alert and just knowing where everybody is. Like, what's she doing? What's she doing? What's she doing? Where is she? Does that make sense?
Yes, it's actually more like, did I give you permission to do that? It's even a little bit more than that.
How funny. What kind of dog is she, Michelle?
She's a Shih Tzu, but there are times where, like, gosh, we're lucky to live in Penny's house. It's nice of her to let us live here.
Well, that's true, because
yes,
they say that dogs have owners, but Shih Tzus have staff.
Yes, that's great. I love that. I see her opening the door, greeting people like it is her own house. It's like, oh, no, you can't come in. You're okay. But mum doesn't. The human mum doesn't really have any free reign here. I'm getting taken to her digestive system as well. So let me just have a look in here.
Okay.
I'm feeling very grumbly in the stomach, and then I'm going down into the small intestine. How is her eating at the moment? Was you, Michelle, that said one of your dogs wasn't eating?
No, it's me. Phoenix.
It's Patricia.
That was
eating.
Patricia. Right. Okay. She's feeling
Could it
very,
be because
and I just want to.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
She eats everything as far as like she'll eat sticks, she'll eat rocks, she'll eat anything.
Right. Okay. It's worth checking out to see why she's actually doing that, because, that's kind of okay if there's a valid reason that is not like an anxiety or something like that. So let me just check in and just see if we can ask her what that's all about. Oh, this is burning energy, particularly eating rocks. But the problem with rocks is it's going to cause problems with her teeth. If it hasn't already. They look pretty good. That bottom row in this photo here, they look quite nice. But eating rocks is going to grind them down, and it's going to cause issues later in life with, having to eat food. So I know she's only 1 at the moment. So just keep an eye on her with her rocks. But she's kind of obsessed with that. It almost feels like an addiction. But she's just such high energy that she just needs to. And there's with that, and this breed of dog too perhaps has a little bit of that anxiety, like Jack Russell's. They are very enthusiastic, and anxiety can sit in there as well. So I just want to check that digestive system in relation to that. There is some anxiety. Okay, so what I do with when I look at this sort of medical intuition, I guess, is I look at the physical organ, and I also look at the emotional organ, so which can be quite different. So I want to just ask her if she can show me her, and in Chinese medicine, the digestive system is about worry and anxiety and those types of things. So I want to have a look at the small intestine, and I want Penny to show me her physical small intestine, because I want to see how that's where all of the nutrients are absorbed, and that's a really important part of the body to have in order. So let me have a look at the small intestine, the physical organ. That's working really hard. Just before we go on with that, let me have a look at the emotional small intestine. And there is anxiety sitting in there. They look kind of similar when you separate them out. They're kind of similar. But is the physical organ that I'm seeing because of this anxiety, this emotional side? Partially, okay. Some of it is food as well. What are you feeding her? What does she get to eat?
Oh, my goodness. As far as just regular food, I can't even think of the brand right now. You caught me off guard. But it's a high-quality dog food. And then she gets some treats, but they're usually lean treats.
Yeah. When you say, it doesn't matter what the brand is, is this kibble or is it wet food or both?
It's both. She gets mostly dry with a little bit of wet on top.
Right. Okay. And this is one thing that I say to people is do your own research, because being a holistic animal health coach, I very often I am always driven to the holistic way of doing things. And I have had experience with my own dogs and cats with food and the reaction to that on the body, which is huge. It creates, anxieties and, neurological kind of weird stuff. And that's the technical term. And it can just really, like giving a kid red cordial, it can just send them off the Richter. I'm feeling with the dried food, because the best way for a dog and a cat to eat is what's called a bath diet or a raw food diet, which is basically, let's say it's chicken. It's 80% chicken, 10% bone and 10% offal ground up into like a mince, a ground meat, and it's raw. And they might put supplements, depends who makes it. You can do it yourself, but you can get this delivered. It's, worldwide. And the mood, the physical health, the energy, the glossy coat, the eyes, the nose, everything changes in an incredible way. And the vet visits are almost non-existent. when we feed our animals the right way. And as you can imagine, this is our fuel for our physical and our energetic body. And with us, we know when we eat and drink well, we feel good and we are well most of the time. It's the same for an animal. So what I'm getting shown with her is that because I have this symbol, when a dog has blood running out of its mouth with a piece of beef in their mouth that's raw and bloody, it's showing me that the body is craving raw food. So have a think about transitioning or including some raw food into her diet, because it will soothe her digestive system and she will really draw the nutrients out of that food to make her feel amazing, but also calm her down a little bit, because the kibble and canned food has a lot of preservatives and it has stuff in it. Rosemary extract and carrots I see a lot of issues with skin itchiness and allergies and stuff like that. Beef I also see can be quite a problem for dogs. So have a little think about her food, because she is just showing me that she's quite high end and there is a relationship with what she's eating there.
Okay. Thank you.
My pleasure. I hope that wasn't too long. Was that too long? Tell me to be quiet if I'm going.
No, this is fascinating. Well, because you're also hitting on a lot of issues that pet owners face. I mean, food. There's a new dog food coming out, I swear to God, every day. I mean, you look on Facebook, well, here's another dog food, and this one's better. It's like, I don't know. And then there's so much controversy about grain versus no grain. And if you give your dog no grain, then they're going to have heart problems. Now they're coming out and saying it's not the lack of grain, it's peas and legumes mixed into their food that they shouldn't be eating. So who knows? You hear it from all sides, and it's very difficult to come up with the right answer. But this is very enlightening, what you're talking about.
It is. It really is. And, you know, you'll find your dogs will be licking their paws all the time or their nose. Same with cats. They'll be licking themselves because they're trying to get this sensation out of their body. And when they're incessantly licking, it can be a food allergy. And, you know, if I had any advice to anybody, kibble would not exist. I would not feed, and particularly male cats have a very fine urethra through the penis. And so it's very dehydrating for the body. The kidneys, you know, we have crystals coming through the urine and they block that urethra. Very painful for a cat. And a male cat, because there's just such a tiny cotton thread of size for a crystal to run through, it often blocks. Then it will back up into the kidneys and we've got kidney disease and your cat will die. Not all of the time if you don't catch it, you know, and I'm this is where I come into this, because I've had 3 cats. I'm a slow learner. I've had 3 male cats die of the same problem, and it's like, seriously, can you not get any more stupid? So, and I studied nutrition years ago, so I'm very passionate about it. But if there's one thing I can pass on to the listeners, really address the nutrition, get rid of kibble, even if you transition it out or even if you feel that you need to do it, please put in some raw food as well. And just they'll love you for it, because they can't tell you that unless you can hear them and they show you. But it is important for everybody for sure.
Yes. Yep, diet is so critical, and this is why it's so important to talk to you about what you're finding works, because there's so much that really doesn't work. Yeah. There was a lady in New Hampshire somewhere. She had a cat that was going to get put down because the vet just could not find, had done every test, could not find what was wrong with this cat, a beautiful cat, and was only 4 years old, so still very young. And she was beside herself, and she said, I'm going to put her down this week if we can't do anything, because the vet cannot do another thing. And she'd been to a couple of vets, I think, so she'd sort of been around a little bit. But the first thing, it sounds very simple, but we just don't think of it. The food was made, and she was just vomiting. She'd been vomiting all day, every day for a few months, and she was losing weight, not eating, and it was pretty awful.
And I said to her, this food that you're feeding your cat is reacting to her body. Whatever the chemicals are that are in it, it's not good. Take her off the food. Find yourself maybe an animal naturopath or a holistic vet and, go down this path. Anyway, she took my email to the vet, and the vet, God bless them, actually read it and took an interest in it and said, here's an animal naturopath. Go and see them and take her off this food. So I don't want to diagnose and tell people, I think this. Go and really consult with your vet with more information, forewarned, forearmed, and, knowledge is power type of thing.
Right.
And so she did that, and she went to the naturopath, and the cat, 2-3 years later, is still alive and going great. It was an instant change. The cat is no longer needing to be put down. So it's a big thing.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great. That is so exciting.
Yeah, it is for the pet parent that is beside themselves, as you can imagine.
Oh, God, yeah.
Let's have a look at Phoenix, shall we? Because Phoenix is just staring at me on my screen
here.
Another Shih Tzu. Yeah, that's right. Another beautiful, very well-brushed Shih Tzu. Little Phoenix.
He is well-brushed.
I am the man of the house. This is how he speaks. He is very beautiful with his posture. His little chest is up and his shoulders are back. And why do you want to talk to me today? I don't really have anything to say to you.
That's him.
and he's like, because most animals call their mum, but Patricia, your mother. What does my mother want from me? He's almost got a little bit of an Englishness to him.
Yeah.
And don't you go traversing through my digestive system. There's nothing to see there. Oh, that's great.
That's him. The last animal communicator talked to him. He said to her, "You're not a doctor."
Yeah.
So here it is. It's the same way of communicating with you. This is hilarious.
Yeah. Sometimes though, if you wait around long enough, he'll actually drop his defences a little bit and become a little mushy dog underneath that and want to talk about what's going on. So how long has he not been eating?
Well, he was eating the food that was recommended by the breeder when I got him at 10 weeks, 11 weeks old. But the food, there was something wrong with it, and he was throwing up every morning, so I immediately took him off of it. When I took him off of it, there was nothing else that he was interested in. I don't even want to tell everybody in this audience because it may get back to my husband, how much money I spent on all of these, dog foods. I tried so many, and I know, Michelle, you said high end for your penny too. Oh yeah, I mean, we're talking like an easy $1,000 that I spent trying to find a food he would like, including raw. I've tried that. Go down the list, and he just is. He's very, very. Nope, I'm not having that today, and maybe never. But he likes. I do give him raw food sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, and he seems to have a very small stomach, is my take on it, because he'll only eat a little bit at a time of anything.
Yes, he's very particular, and he's showing me an image of a salmon jumping out of a waterfall in Alaska somewhere. So he may have expensive taste. Well, what he says to that is, and the problem with that
because I'm saying caviar.
Yeah. There you go. We're on the same page.
Oh, that's too funny.
He's also suggesting that he's a grazer. He's not a gulper. He just, he'll eat a bit and go away, and
that's right.
He doesn't have a desperate sense of hunger.
Okay.
Let's just have a closer inspection of that.
Yeah.
So I want to ask him. I want to just kind of ask him just to put, if it's okay with him, just to step aside from, you know, his little personality that he's got going here, and not wanting to talk to me really. I just want to ask him if it's okay if we can ask about this eating, if it's a problem, a disorder, if it's the food, how he actually feels internally, whether he feels satiated and hungry and those types of things. So I just want to, okay, he's okay to talk about this. He's rolling his eyes. He's like, finally, you get to the point. Can you just get the words out of your mouth?
Oh, my God. This is too funny.
So let me feel how he feels in his stomach. I feel full, and it feels, I want to say the word blocked. It feels not blocked in the true sense of the word, but it just feels solidly full, as opposed to I'm digesting and mushing up something that I've just got in my stomach. Take me through the duodenum into the small intestine. Take me out of the stomach. I want to see that connection from the stomach into the duodenum. Okay, that's okay. Into the small intestine. And that's okay. And the pancreas dropping in the enzymes is also okay. So show me the small intestine. The physical is okay. His digestive system, okay, let me just have a look at the large intestine going. His digestive system seems to be quite okay. The stomach is full, so perhaps he's just eaten and he's still got something in there. But he doesn't feel, I don't feel unwell at the moment. In this moment, I feel pretty good. So I want to ask, what is this fussiness with the food? And I hear variety is the spice of life. Have you not heard of that term? And
oh my God, I'm in for it.
Patricia, how are you with being fussy with food, Patricia? Is he like a mirror to you, perchance?
Oh yeah, I'm particular. I would say that, and yeah, I'm very particular about my food, and I don't eat dairy or gluten or anything like that. Everything's organic that I eat. Everything's organic that he eats. So
yeah. And particular is the word that he's been using. So that I asked because I just got taken straight over to you, and it's like attracts like kind of thing. And he's like, you know, he is no different to you. So it's okay for him to want that one day and then that the next day, or, you know, I don't see him having an issue with food. He's just particular.
Okay, that's good.
As in a medical condition kind of thing. So he's very happy. He says, I'm very pompous, but I'm very happy. And I have the best mother. That's what I think. I don't know if I finished that, but he calls you mother. I have the best mother. She's very demanding of me, and she works very, very hard. She shouldn't work as hard as she does. He's also showing me a walk. Do you have a big backyard, or do you take him out walking on like a long stretch somewhere?
Yes. I have 75 acres here, and I have a long driveway, and so when the weather's nice, we take a walk down the driveway and back.
Yes.
But he has a very large space, but yeah. He never goes out alone, though. Walking, there's too many wild animals here.
Yeah. Right. He's showing me you and him together, and you're walking on a long stretch, and it felt like your yard areas. So that is that. And it's just like you have this silent language or this silent relationship where you can just be together but fully connected. And he just loves those walks. It's like that's when he gets what he needs from you on those walks. It just fills his little soul. So keep doing that. He loves it.
Okay, I will. Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. And it's funny because I'm just about. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was I was just going to move on from him, and he's now ready to get right into conversation. He's like, "Don't go, we haven't finished yet."
Okay, what else does he need to tell us?
Nothing really. He's just up for a chat, I think. Now the door's open. He's a little chatterbox. But we can move on to unless you have other questions or what you need to do with your show. I don't want to hijack it.
No, not at all. I mean, we do have a caller, 480 area code. Is that Penny? Is that who you're?
That is Penny, probably. Yes.
Oh, okay. That's what I was wondering. So let's get Penny on, because I know you said she's got questions. And Rommie has answers. Oh. Rommie, thank you so much for talking to Phoenix.
Thank
you,
Rommie.
That's so kind of you.
If we have extra time, we'll get to another one. But let's see what Penny has.
Let's bring Penny on. Hi, Penny. You're on the air.
Hello.
Do you have a question for Rommie?
Oh, my goodness, yes, I do. I have 2 cats. Blackjack is 16, and we've had him, and I am his special person. And we rehomed a cat, a girl cat named Midnight, that we hoped would be a companion for him, and he seems to be really jealous of her, and he does not want her around, and she just wants to be friends with him. And he guards the hall so she won't come down into the bedroom when I'm in there.
Oh.
So I wonder what I can do to help that dynamic. And also, I love to hear anything they have to say about their feeding, about their eating.
Right. Hi, Penny. Nice to meet you. You haven't rehomed Midnight yet? You're just thinking about it? Or you've rehomed her into your house?
Oh, we've had her for a few years now.
Right.
At first it seemed fine, and then as Blackjack saw that she was going to be treated as well as he is, he got jealous. That's my take on it. I don't know if that's the truth, but that seems to be the truth.
Yeah, jealous of you particularly giving attention away to someone else that's not him. And, one of the things with cats is they are, unlike dogs, dogs are kind of pack animals. Cats are very individual, so it's quite difficult sometimes to bring groups of cats into a house without, having problems, personality disorders between them, because they don't, in the wild, they don't tend to, walk around in real packs of friends. So it can be tricky. Now, there is a hierarchy in the household, and it goes like this. The humans are always first. So we have you, Mum, and then the first cat or the first animal is, because if you've got dogs and birds and cats, it's whoever comes in first, that's number one. And if let's just say we're talking Blackjack and Midnight and they're the only pets you've got, it's Blackjack.
Yes,
and then
they are.
Midnight is, right, okay. Then Midnight is second in the hierarchy. So you're first, you're the boss, and then Blackjack and then Midnight. And so you need to send images over to them of how you want your household to look. And you want harmony. You want the two of them to get on. They don't need to sleep together, but you don't want the fighting and the animosity or whatever's going on, the jealousy. You need to share with Blackjack, even though Midnight's been in there for a few years, you need to have a chat with him about his behaviour and what you expect from him, and that this is unacceptable. Words like unacceptable work really well with animals, or even bad. Bad's a good one as well. So, Blackjack, this behaviour is unacceptable, and you show the behaviour that's going on, and you put a big red cross through it. This is how I want the house to look. You need to get on with Midnight, and I want you to do X, Y, or Z. Blackjack is very jealous of your relationship with Midnight, and so consequently behaves in that way, whether it's lashing out or hissing or biting or scratching or trying to get rid of Midnight. So show them how you want the house to look. That's the first thing. And keep coaching them, because if they've been around for a while and they have their own personalities, because some animals will do whatever they want regardless of what you ask them to do. There are many other things that work so well with animals, and that is tapping, emotional freedom technique or thought field therapy, which many of you listeners will have heard of. And if you haven't, Google it, because there is so much information about EFT for animals. EFT for animals with jealousy problems or anxiety or fear or whatever. So, Penny, have a look at EFT, because you can tap on yourself. Cats don't really like to be tapped on so much, and it's tapping on acupuncture points that kind of realign the energy to take away this feeling of jealousy. The jealousy is very aligned with the bladder meridian as well. So, it's kind of realigning the energy through the meridians. Emotion code, all of these things everybody can do themselves. They can buy the books, they can watch YouTubes. It's very simple. You don't need to get caught up on the technicalities. I must do it this way. A lot of it is about the intention. So there's a lot of things. Acupuncture can work really well too, because, again, it's about bringing the energy back into alignment. So they're my suggestions, Penny, because Blackjack is very, and it's kind of deep. This jealousy and this anger is quite deep within him. Perhaps because you didn't talk to him about what the change was going to be. Very important when we bring other animals into our house that we prepare the other animals for what's happening and why we're bringing another animal in. And the other thing that works really well are flower essences, which are non-toxic, unlike some of the aromatherapies that can be quite toxic to animals. Flower essences for bringing animals into a new home or jealousy, any emotion you can think of, you can get a flower essence for, and they're readily available, from various places around the US. You can just post it in. So I hope that helps.
Yes, it does. We actually, Blackjack has been a very social cat, and he's cried wanting to have around cats that he sees in the yard and so forth. It was obvious he wanted a companion, and we didn't get the right companion. Or at least it seemed like he wanted one, because he would cry and want to go out and play or be with them.
Yes.
I have one other question. Excuse me. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering whether the crying was an invitation to bring them in or go and fight them off the property, because cats are very territorial. So let me just see why he was wanting to go out there. Curiosity. Look, I think what I see with this is that he was curious to go out there and see who is on his turf, and then he would decide, because cats are very sensitive. They either like another cat or they don't. And it would be very individual. If there was a cat there that he didn't like, it would be all-out war to get them off your property. Or if there was a cat that... And cats' boundaries are not your fence line. They go beyond that. And if there's one that he gelled with, then yes, he would be interested to have a friendship with that. So it was more, what I see is more a curiosity to get out there and see who's out there and how I need to deal with them in that moment.
Got it. Well, we misread that. Midnight wants to eat. She was 9 when we rehomed her. Her parent, her mama, passed away, and so she came to us, and evidently she was fed Friskies, which is canned Friskies, excuse me, which is not, in my opinion, healthy, and yet that's what she really wants, and what she'd like to eat. so I've been giving it to her, and I don't know how to manage that. Also, I was always used to my cats being able to have food down all the time, and they just eat a little bit, and so she gained weight because she wasn't used to that. And so I'm trying to not feed her as much, and it seems very stressful for her.
Yes, cats and food, it's a really tricky one. Cats are what they call imprint eaters, so they learn how to eat and what to eat from their mother. And if they are, if they're taken away or they're weaned too early, the human becomes the mother. And what that food is as a kitten, that's kind of what they know. So it's very difficult to change what a cat eats, particularly if you're trying to transition them, say, into a raw food way of eating, which is kind of like, for them, it's like eating a bird or a lizard or a mouse or something. It's that kind of nutrition that they get from eating the foods that their body looks for. So it is very difficult, but possible with commitment and some consistency to transition onto other foods. There's a lot of the Friskies and all of those types of foods. There is a lot of salt and there's a lot of chemicals and things like that in them. So it is a good idea to try and transition, even if you do half or something like that for a little while. And it might be that you throw a bit of good food out. When I transitioned mine, I would put her new food on a separate plate and her old food right next to it. And then she would walk around and sniff the new food but wouldn't eat it. And then for a week she kind of did that, and then I would put it on the same plate, and then she would eat her regular food and leave the new food. And then I put a little bit, after a few days, I put the new food underneath her regular food. And then she started to kind of eat it, but she needed to get used to it and kind of re-imprint, if you like, the food. So it did take a little while for me, I'm talking like 2 weeks, so it's not a huge amount of time. But some cats just say a blatant no, and they need to be fed. They won't starve themselves, however. So if you have good food there, even if it's just an organic ground chicken mince and some organic chicken wings cut up into little, inch long or half an inch long sizes so they can clean their teeth and stuff too. Weight is a problem for cats, and if you're leaving food out, it does, they will eat it, they'll graze. And, I guess the canned foods, and particularly dried food can really put a lot of weight on a cat, and cats get addicted to dry food or kibble.
Yes, Midnight is addicted to the kibble.
Yeah. I had a cat like that. He used to tear the bag apart, years ago, until I figured out this is actually not how you feed a cat. That food's going. So he went demented. But you're the boss.
So would you recommend no kibble for either of my cats? And I cook dark meat chicken for Blackjack and ground turkey. And he takes turns with what he likes. He changes from one to the other. And I tried it with Midnight. She wasn't quite there, but I could get her there, I think. And should I stop the kibble altogether?
Look, it is my opinion. I would say do your own research, but I would not have kibble ever. But it may also, because animals have been domesticated and they've got domesticated digestive systems, so you want to ease them away from something. So I would say yes, but I would strongly suggest that you do your own research. There's a lot of information on raw food eating for cats or dogs that you can find. There's a lot of holistic vets. There's a Holistic Vet UK, a group of fellows that talk dogs and cats. They are amazing. So find some holistic vets and have a chat to them. Even Chinese herbs. I'm getting shown some Chinese herbs would be quite helpful for Blackjack particularly, and also Midnight for their digestive system, which you can just usually sprinkle into their food. and most of the time they'll eat it. Sometimes they're a bit fussy, but yeah, I would consider other options. There's a company in America called Steve's Real Food, and I really like the work that they do. You can certainly check them out, and they have freeze-dried food, which is not like a kibble, but it is sort of that.
I'm sorry, would you repeat the name of that company? Steve's
Real Food. Steves.
Oh, okay, got it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they'll be local to you somewhere, or they will deliver. But you can have a look at their website and just. I interviewed one of the fellows from there last year, and I have an episode on my television show where he's talking about cat nutrition specifically. So that might be interesting for you to watch as well.
Well, thank you so much. This has been such an amazing conversation. Your knowledge is just, wow, you are so good at your connection and then just what you're bringing in for information for our listeners.
Yes, so powerful.
Thank you. Thank you,
so
Penny.
Powerful. We're gonna, Rommie, we're gonna have to have you back. I can tell. This is just so much more to get into because I know I wanted to talk to you about vaccines, and also we got to bring up Bigfoot before we end the show.
Yeah.
And I know we have more dogs for you to talk to too. So
yeah.
But can you say a little bit about vaccines? I think here in the United States there's a new movement afoot that is trying to curb all of this over-vaccination that's happening with our dogs and cats. And I don't know what it's like in Australia, but it's a law here about this rabies vaccine every year. But it's not really the best for the dogs. They don't really need it. And so there's a lot of vets that are banding together to try to change it. And it's not easy to change. What are your thoughts on all of these vaccines? Not just rabies, but other ones.
That's interesting. We don't have rabies down here, so we're quite lucky on that front. I'm not a big fan of vaccines at all, and unfortunately in Australia, all of the boarding kennels and catteries, you have to have them vaccinated. There are no holistic boarding facilities, and so I've unfortunately had to have mine vaccinated. But I do a lot of energy work to try and homeopathics to try and remove, or negate what the vaccines do.
Right.
So and they won't, because there's some great homeopathic vaccinations too. But again, the boarding facilities won't allow that. So it depends how often you'll go away. If you can get a house sitter, I'm not a big fan of vaccines. Way over. They're talking 7 years is the last I heard, that cats and dogs, vaccines still showing up after 7 years, or even after a puppy when they're in their, like 10 and 11 years old. It is crazy. And they're insisting on that every year, 12 monthly vaccinations here. I wish there was a movement here. There's a lot of talk about it, but there's not really much action going on. I think we're way over vaccinated. And that's, I know a vet would probably shoot me down for that, but I don't like it at all. And I had a cat that died from being vaccinated. So I'm also a little bit passionate about that, because he got a cancer, a very awful cancer from the vaccination site. And, I'm not a big fan of chemotherapy and all those things either. So, unfortunately he passed, but, they do more damage than good, I think. And, I don't know, that's just my opinion.
It's a very, very difficult thing to fight and find better resources for, but I was wondering what it's like in your country. And so, next question, Bigfoot. What are your thoughts and feelings about Bigfoot? What have you found?
Right. Oh, such an interesting topic, because the Loch Ness Monster is my next view. But Bigfoot, so this is what I see. And as I mentioned to you when we were sort of hooking up, that when I was looking at Bigfoot to see, is he real, I just got told, let the mysterious stay a mystery. And I loved that but I also got shown for my benefit and now your listeners what they wanted me to see. So Bigfoot is real to a degree. I see him being able to be seen. I don't see him solid energy like a human or an animal, that solidness, but I see him more a dense energy as opposed to a solid energy. So you would see him, and if you went to touch him, you know, when I tried to touch and feel his, you know, skin and fur and all that sort of stuff, I felt him, but my hand sort of went into him. So he appears and becomes unseen as he wants to. So where does he come from? I don't really know. The earth, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But I feel he can show himself when and where he wants to, and he looks real. You would take photos of him and you would see him as you do. And so that's my vibe on Bigfoot.
That's so fascinating.
Have you had any experience with that? Have you looked at Bigfoot yourself?
I have, and yes, they definitely move between dimensions. There's no question in my mind that that's what they do. And they have this ability to sing more than one note at a time. So their voice is impressive, very impressive. And I studied with a Native American medicine woman at one point, and she had quite a relationship with them. But she also said she knew where they had a camp, and she would take students with her sometimes to this camp in the summer. She stopped doing it, and this is why. Because when people saw those big shapes coming towards them, it like triggered something in their subconscious mind, and they would all pass out. So I said, enough of that. I'm not going to have these people hike up here, and then I have to take care of them because they're all go unconscious on me. But there was something about seeing those big shapes that produced this response, which I think it does happen for some reason. But anyway, yeah. And she said the same thing. You know, they can come in and out of this reality at will.
Yeah. Maybe that's just like a massive fight, flight, freeze mode. It's switched on.
I think.
The fear response is just knocking them out. Yeah. How fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. She thought that they were also very connected with the ETs, some of them, because there appear to be different tribes of Bigfoot doing different things and from different places. But it's a fascinating energy type of thing. And there is a photograph I'll be happy to send you. One of our guests was Bigfoot, the daughter of a Bigfoot hunter, more or less. And she and her boyfriend went to this spot where she knew the Bigfoot were. And they camped out. They had some trail cams set up. And they went into their sleeping bags with no tent. Well, the trail cam took a picture, and I'll send it to you. It was of this Bigfoot with enormous shoulders, big, you know, kind of rounded, pointed head, whatever, leaning over them. Now, neither one of them woke up. Neither one. And her boyfriend at the time, he was connected with the Travel Channel or Discovery or one of those that was taking people on these expeditions into Tibet and all these other places where there are a lot of very dangerous wild animals, and he always slept with one eye open. He didn't wake up either. And you see this huge form, you know, just lurking over them. You think, how could they not wake up? This is crazy. I will send you the photo. And I'll put it on the Facebook page so everybody else can see it. And I'll send it to you, Michelle, as well, so that you guys can see this. And you'll see the same thing that we all did, that this animal is obviously, I mean, this isn't an animal. This is something so much more that's able to be that quiet, that huge and yet unobserved, except for the camera.
Yeah. And that's, you know, it's almost like they're not passing out when they see, but they have been kept in that passed out state
Right.
That's very curious, isn't it? How interesting.
It is. It is very interesting. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'll make sure you get that copy so you can.
Oh, please do. That'd be great.
Yeah, maybe you can communicate further through the photo, but it was an amazing thing when I saw this. I'm like, how could you idiots not wake up? It's like,
yeah.
You know, this thing is staring at you.
I don't think they were supposed to. Yeah. I love that. You know, they can sing two notes at the same time too. That's incredible.
Yeah, more than two. They can do more than two. Their voices are unbelievable. Yeah, because the medicine woman that I studied with, she says, you know, when the energy's right, they'll come. And she was chanting one night in a teepee with some other people, and all of a sudden the door to the teepee flew open, and there was Bigfoot. It was drawn to them chanting. And, the sound of that.
So none of them passed out? She's never
passed
out with them?
They didn't, yeah. But the ones that hiked up to their camp with her, they always passed out. She was so sick of it.
Yeah, maybe. It's for your eyes
you
only.
Babies.
She didn't watch the James Bond movie.
Right. Rommie, what's next for you? I mean, you're so talented at everything that you're doing with the animals. Do you have a book coming out or anything like that we can talk about with, you know, suggest that our listeners get?
I'm halfway through writing a book, so it's not ready yet. I was finishing that at Christmas time, and here we are now May, and I'm still halfway through. So that is coming, and it's a book of short stories from the animal's perspective, and I'll be talking about, say, anxiety, a rescue dog that's got anxiety, and how they feel when they're rehomed and dumped, and all that sort of thing. And then stories from an animal communicator's perspective, and then stories from the pet parent's perspective. So that's hopefully will come out probably early next year is my plan.
Oh, great!
But yeah, I have big plans, and I'm not too sure where I'm going with them. So there needs to be more education. I know people love their animals, but love doesn't equate to the best possible care. So I just want to help be a part of that voice that changes mindsets, and I would like to get on the speaker circuit somehow, TED Talks, all those things. So I'm doing things in the background, trying to push my barrow and see where I end up. So let's see.
You know, it would be wonderful for you to be on an American television show talking about all of what you know about holistic care and all of what you've learned from the animals. It would be great. Don't you think, Michelle? That would be a wonderful show to watch.
I absolutely think that would be wonderful. And I'll just tell you, I have a lot of good energy feeling around you. I think you're going to have a lot of opportunities in the next year. And the things that don't seem clear right now, give yourself about 8 more weeks, because then you're going to have more definitive clarity and direction. But Spirit is working with you, through you, and all around you. So I'm actually really excited to see where you're going to be in a year with everything.
Thank you, Michelle. That's great to hear. I love that. Because I want to do more than I am, because I can, and I'm pretty passionate about it. So I'd love a television show. I worked for a film producer 30 years ago, and I contacted him 5 years ago and said, I don't know if you remember me, but this is what I do, and I need to do something with it. And
yes.
And he said, you tick 5 of the 6 boxes, but I don't know how to make you compelling viewing. And I said, well, you're the producer. That's your creative job. And this is Australian television we're talking. We're very one-dimensional down here.
It's very different than television here.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we can help you with that. Let us help you with that. Let us see what we can, do to get you to the right people. So I hate to cut this conversation off because, my gosh, we could go all night with you, Rommie. This has been so exciting. Thank you so much. Next week we have Bavarian Illuminati. We are really changing the subject. But, Rommie, we'd love to have you back. So, everybody, thank you for listening. And we will definitely plan on that, Rommie. And we'll be back in touch. And next week we'll be back with another great show. Until then, see you on the Blue Highway. Good night, everyone.
Thanks for listening. Tune in next week for another radio adventure with Supernatural.